Caitlin Clark didn't just grow the league. She revealed what it was actually worth. The day Caitlin Clark changed the economics of basketball without asking for anyone's permission. Nobody was supposed to say it this openly. For years, WNBA owners avoided hard numbers in public. They talked about growth, culture, momentum, progress, safe words, comfortable words, words that don't upset anyone or rock the boat. But something changed. And the moment it changed, pretending became impossible. It didn't start with a press conference. It didn't start on television. It started in a private boardroom where the screens were showing raw data instead of highlight reels. Viewership curves, revenue charts, partner projections, sponsorship metrics. That's where the uncomfortable silence began. Because one owner noticed something that didn't make sense. The league was louder than it had ever been on social media, but the money wasn't moving the same way. The buzz was massive, engagement was through the roof, but actual viewership? It wasn't matching the noise. Then he isolated one variable: Caitlin Clark. The charts didn't just rise, they exploded. Not slowly, not gradually, violently. At first, he assumed it had to be a glitch, a one-week anomaly, something that would flatten out over time and return to normal. But it didn't. Every single appearance, every highlight clip, every mention tied to her name created massive spikes that no marketing campaign, no promotional push, no league initiative could possibly explain. The correlation was undeniable. That's when the owner asked the question nobody in that room wanted to answer: what happens if we remove everything from the model except her? What does the league look like without Caitlin Clark? The answer was absolutely terrifying. Because when they ran those numbers, when they stripped everything else away, the model completely collapsed. What was left was the brutal, undeniable truth. She wasn't just part of the growth. She was the growth. The entire thing. Without her, the numbers didn't just drop, they disappeared. Weeks later came the NBA on NBC moment. It was publicly framed as a nice crossover opportunity, a fun segment, a symbolic bridge between the two leagues. No pressure, no massive expectations. Just a cameo appearance, really. And then the cameras rolled. Caitlin Clark didn't act like a guest who was grateful to be there. She didn't play cute. She didn't fumble or overreact or seem nervous. She sat there completely calm and broke the game down like she'd always belonged on that stage, like it was the most natural thing in the world.
Per NBC, the numbers for that game have finally been released. The executives over there are already speaking very highly of her. Is there a potential position in the future? Are they going to be expanding her role? More appearances to come? Sunday night basketball, milestone for NBA on NBC Sports. Lakers-Knicks, 4.5 million viewers on NBC plus Telemundo, 5 million peak audience. Most watched regular season Sunday night NBA game since 2002, excludes Christmas Day. Sunday night NBA games. Now, a Sunday night NBA, is that ABC included, or the ABC games Saturday night games from back in the day?
Millions watched. Not WNBA fans. Not basketball diehards. Regular people who don't normally tune into basketball coverage. Inside NBC Sports, producers saw something they genuinely hadn't seen in years. Viewer retention didn't drop off like it usually does, it actually increased. People stayed through the entire segment. They rewound clips to watch again. They shared them outside traditional sports circles into mainstream spaces. That night did more than just generate social media buzz. It generated real, tangible leverage. The next morning, the owner saw the updated projections, and that's when he completely stopped protecting feelings or softening the message. According to multiple insiders who were in that room, he said it plainly, without any corporate speak: this isn't incremental growth we're looking at. It's exponential. Then he dropped the number that made everyone go silent. 50 times. 50 times the projected viewership impact. 50 times the revenue acceleration potential. 50 times the partner and sponsor interest compared to baseline expectations without he.
that comes with an NBA national broadcast. So he loved every bit of what Caitlin Clark did and what she brought to the broadcast. Now, this is where he started talking a little bit about having Caitlin Clark back more than that March 29th announcement. So it says NBC Sports is planning to bring Clark back later this season. Cordella confirmed that she is scheduled to appear as an analyst for the Knicks versus Thunder on March 29th. As we know, he also added that he hopes to see more of Clark moving forward, signaling that the door is open for additional appearances. While no expanded role has been formally announced, the comment suggested genuine interest rather than casual praise. So, hey man, I don't know. We might see Caitlin working that booth. That'll be dope though, man. That'll be dope. Of course, with everything going on with the WNBA, we don't even know if we're going to have a season, man. Nice.
50x. That number was never supposed to leave the room, but it did. And once it did, everything unraveled because if one player can multiply a league by 50, that means something uncomfortable. It means the league wasn't the engine. She was. Word spread fast. Media insiders confirmed it quietly. Advertisers noticed immediately. Conversations changed tone. Suddenly calls were about positioning around her, not balance across the league. Jealousy followed, not loud jealousy, professional jealousy. Other leagues noticed the NBC numbers. They saw the audience migration. They saw attention moving, and attention is currency. That's when the tension rose because for years the unspoken rule was simple. No one player becomes bigger than the system. The system stays in control. Caitlin Clark broke that rule without trying. She didn't demand anything. She didn't threaten. She didn't complain. She showed up and performed. And that performance forced the owner's hand. He went public, not with anger. With math, he revealed how viewership behaved before her appearances. Flat, predictable, controlled. Then he showed what happened after. Spikes so sharp they looked unreal. Revenue lines bending upward like someone had grabbed them and pulled. That's when he said the sentence that changed the season.
Presented to the players. This is the most recent proposal, and I guess they also brought this to the meeting on Monday. It's so funny, on all of these documents in the corner it says confidential, but they are currently circulating all around Twitter. So I want to go over some of these bullet points with you guys. The first slide, it said WNBA CBA proposal, goals for a win-win CBA. Number one, substantially increase player salaries to reflect recent future business growth. That number one bullet point is something that Adam Silver has said many of times when he is asked about the WNBA CBA. This is, again, it seems to be why the two sides are on different sides. It seems like the WNBA wants to raise the salary enough to where they don't have to give a percentage of this gross revenue that the players want. And that's where the players are feeling like there's such a disconnect, because it seems like they would prefer the revenue split over the salaries just increasing. But again, you can see here, substantially increased player salaries, which they have, by the way. They've increased the salaries like 6 times the amount of what they used to be. Number two, promote business health and profitability. And that has been such a big thing in all of these. And a lot of fans have chimed in like, the WNBA has never been profitable. And the WNBA is still young, you guys. It is going into its 30th season. And when we did the comparison of WNBA salaries in their 30th season, if they take this deal, and NBA salaries in their 30th season, and obviously we did the math for inflation, all those things, the WNBA players will actually be making more than NBA players were in their 30th season. So that's why I just don't think this deal is such a bad deal like all of the players seem to think it is, but the WNBA is still focused on good business health and profitability. Number three, maintain incentives for team and league investments. Now, this next slide
underestimated her impact. Underestimated is a polite word. The real meaning was worse. They didn't know who was carrying them. The moment that statement hit the internet, the reaction was instant. Fans argued. Comment sections exploded. Other leagues went quiet. Because silence usually means one thing. They're watching. And what they saw scared them. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just bring people to the WNBA. She brought them to basketball broadcasts in general. NBC saw new viewers. Sponsors saw new demographics. The pie didn't just get bigger. It shifted. That shift created enemies. You could feel it in the coverage, in the tone, in the sudden attempts to reframe the narrative, to remind people that growth is collective, not individual. But the owner had already said too much. Once numbers are public, you can't put them back in the box. That's when jealousy turned into panic. Because if one player can drive this much value, she doesn't need the league as much as the league needs her. That realization changes power instantly. The owner didn't backtrack, he doubled down.
So, obviously Caitlin Clark's voice, the biggest voice that can speak on this, because she's been the catalyst for the WNBA being in position for a transformative CBA, a change in salaries, the way that they're headed. So it's good to hear that she's confident. She's always expressed so much love around the league and what it can become and what it was and all of those things. But nonetheless, it's still got to be a deal that's done. So you can get to the WNBA draft later, after the free agency and after the expansion drafts. But hopefully, that's a good sign for WNBA fans that the league's biggest star is saying she's confident a CBA will get done. Then there were some other topics hit up on the broadcast as well, including her wanting to play at Madison Square Garden. That is where she was broadcasting from, the Knicks and the Lakers. It is a great arena. I've spent a lot of time in the Garden.
Lakers and the Knicks taking center stage here for the 302nd overall meeting. And for the first time ever, we've got basketball night in America, the first Sunday in February. And we're joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark. Yes.
Welcome. MSG for a Knicks game, so it's pretty cool.
I know, it's our first Knicks game, first time feeling the atmosphere. We got to get you to play on this court one day.
We have to talk to Matt Adam about that.
Can we make it mellow? Honestly, if there's someone
Even if it's a preseason game, we got to get it done. I don't think the Liberty will want to move a game over here, but we'll play anybody. It'll be fun.
Yeah. How could you describe maybe the atmosphere your first time in it?
Well, I think as a player, this is kind of when you feel the atmosphere the most, is when you're out on the court warming up. So, there's just a different type of buzz. And obviously when LeBron comes to town, it's probably really different. But,
He explained how sponsorship calls changed after NBC, how partners wanted guarantees tied specifically to her appearances, how negotiations that once took months were suddenly urgent. That's when people realized something else. She wasn't just changing viewership. She was changing timelines. Deals moved faster. Decisions accelerated. Old excuses disappeared. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark stayed silent. No victory lap, no comments about money, no response to jealousy. She kept playing. That silence was brutal. Because when someone changes everything without saying a word, the system looks weak. The owner tried to soften the blow later. He talked about teamwork, about league-wide growth, about the importance of everyone. But the damage was done, 50x. That number stuck. Fans repeated it. Media ran with it. Other leagues watched closely. And behind the scenes, strategies changed overnight. Marketing shifted. Scheduling shifted. Media priorities shifted. Everything pointed back to the same uncomfortable truth. Caitlin Clark wasn't riding a wave. She was the wave.
Iconic figure in basketball in the women's game right now, or the game in general. So we said, let's have a bigger conversation. And it's just so crazy that it feels like every other sport will just come out and say what it is besides the WNBA. The NBA is not scared to acknowledge that there's no more iconic figure in basketball. Not just the women's game, but possibly the game in general than Caitlin Clark. But we would not hear that in the WNBA space. We wouldn't hear that from WNBA media, but the NBA media and the NBA and the league itself is not scared to say it. We've seen it when Caitlin does golf events. It just seems like every league but her own is not scared to say the truth. But I do.
The jealousy wasn't personal. It was structural. Other leagues started seeing attention drifting away from them. They saw advertisers asking new questions about where to place their budgets. They saw fans actively choosing where to spend their time, and time is the one resource you absolutely cannot manufacture or buy back. By the end of that month, the league had fundamentally transformed. Not because of a rule change, not because of a massive rebrand or marketing campaign, because one player forced complete honesty. The owner didn't intend to create controversy when he spoke. He simply intended to explain their success and why the numbers looked the way they did. But in doing so, he accidentally exposed total dependence. And dependence changes absolutely everything about how negotiations work, how power is distributed, how decisions get made. Caitlin Clark didn't just grow the league. She revealed what it was actually worth in cold, hard numbers. And once a league learns its true value, or more importantly, learns who creates that value, there's no going back to pretending otherwise. The illusion shatters permanently. This wasn't hype or media spin. This was pure maths. This wasn't clever marketing or narrative building. This was documented reality backed by data. And the reason it shook everyone in that industry so deeply is actually quite simple. Nobody expected the truth to be this crystal clear, or this significant, or this completely tied to one single name. That's why the jealousy from other players felt so real and so raw. That's why the uncomfortable silence in those boardrooms was deafening. And that's exactly why this moment will be remembered in sports business history, not as just another player debut or crossover appearance, but as an actual turning point. The day the owners stopped hiding behind vague corporate language and showed the real numbers. The day the league learned who genuinely drives their entire business model. The day Caitlin Clark changed the economics of basketball without asking for anyone's permission. 4.